students, now we are going to learn more about histology of ovary. Histology means what? कि सेक्शन में क्या दिखेगा आपको, या अगर आप कोई भी सेक्शन लेते हो, टीएस लेते हो ओवरी का, what things you are going to observe in that TS. TS means what? Transverse section. Now here you can see the tunica albuginea. It is a whitish capsule of dense irregular connective tissue located immediately inside the germinal epithelium. In previous lecture we learned that the outermost covering around ovary, it is called as a germinal epithelium. Just below that germinal epithelium there is a whitish capsule of a dense irregular connective tissue. Means if I mark over here, this is your germinal epithelium. Just below that germinal epithelium, if you see that just below that germinal epithelium, that region, it is called as a, what you can say, it is called as tunica albuginea. I think that we discussed in our lecture also, but we will revise once again because these things are really very important for my next lecture. That is why I am revising it once again. Now the next will be ovary. Ovary shows cyclic changes during the menstrual cycle. So many changes are going to occur in the ovary during the menstrual cycle. So what are these changes? See, the cortical region shows the different stages of development of ovarian follicle or Graafian follicle. Here if you see, there are cyclic changes of Graafian follicle or what you can say ovarian follicle. Here you can see from primordial follicle till the mature follicle. If you see, there are cyclic changes, or you can see different stages of Graafian follicle. You can see different stages of ovarian follicle. Each follicle contains a large ovum. Here you can see this is ovum, but it is released ovum. You can see here a large ovum is present inside that follicle, and it is surrounded by many layers of follicular cells. I think we learnt about that structure of secondary oocyte. In that I covered that around that ovum, around that what you can say oocyte, some cells are present. These cells are called as follicular cells, right? It is surrounded by the many follicular cells, and the follicle cells of maturing follicle, they secrete estrogen. Very important, underline this sentence. The follicular cells of maturing follicle secretes estrogen. Mature follicle का जो mature yes follicular cells जो होते हैं, mature follicular cells, their function is to secrete estrogen. Estrogen is a hormone. Now the next is the different stages of developing ovarian follicles are seen in the cortex and consist of oocytes in different stages of development. In the beginning, single layer of follicular cells surround each oocyte, and entire structure is called as primordial cells. So here if you see in the beginning, these small structures you can see over here, I don't know whether it is visible or not, but if you see, there are many small structures. So these small structures are nothing but these are a primordial follicles. Why they are called as primordial? In evolution chapter we learnt about primordial cell, a very small cell, right? Or the first cell, we can say, that is called as primordial cell. Here it is the first follicle, it is called as primordial follicle because it is surrounded with a single layer of what you can say cells, follicular cells. And now the next will be, see, although the stimulating mechanism is unclear, a few primordial follicles periodically start to grow even during childhood में भी कुछ जो ये प्राइमोर्डियल फॉलिकल्स होते हैं ये डेवलप होते हैं, मैच्योर होते हैं, या ये जो है ये ग्रो करने लगते हैं, बट द रीज़न बिहाइंड इट इज़ स्टिल अननोन. दे बिकम प्राइमरी फॉलिकल्स. पहले ये प्राइमरी फॉलिकल्स बनेंगे. यहाँ पे आपने अगर देखा होगा तो ये देखेंगे ये प्राइमरी फॉलिकल्स यहाँ पे बन गए, एंड विच आर सराउंडेड फर्स्ट बाय वन लेयर ऑफ फॉलिकुलर सेल्स एंड देन 6 to 7 लेयर ऑफ ग्रैन्युलोसा सेल्स. हियर यू कैन सी 6 to 7 layers of granulosa cells are there. As the follicle grows, it forms a clean glycoprotein layer called as zona pellucida. This, regarding that zona pellucida, we learnt in structure of ovum between the primary oocyte and granulosa cell. See here, if you see between that primary oocyte, this is a primary oocyte, or sorry, this is a primary oocyte, I think this is a secondary oocyte. In between primary oocyte and the see in between a primary oocyte and granulosa cells, what you can say, a zona pellucida is going to form. Zona pellucida is going to form. Now the next will be the innermost layer of granulosa cells become firmly attached to the zona pellucida. तो अगर आप देखोगे यहाँ पे तो ग्रैन्युलोसा सेल्स मीन्स व्हाट, ये जो सराउंडिंग जो सेल्स है, दीज आर कॉल्ड एज ग्रैन्युलोसा सेल्स और फॉलिकुलर सेल्स ऑल्सो यू कैन से। जैसे हमने ये पिछली वोम के स्ट्रक्चर में भी देखा था, दे गेट फर्मली अटैच्ड टू द जोना पेल्यूसिडा। ये जो अंदर का जो लेयर है दैट इज कॉल्ड एज जोना पेल्यूसिडा, दे गेट फर्मली अटैच्ड टू द जोना पेल्यूसिडा एंड they are going to form corona radiata. They are going to form corona radiata. I think that regarding that corona radiata I told you in my lecture also. Now the next will be the outermost granulose cells rest on a basement membrane. Encircling the basement membrane is a region called as theca folliculi. Many capillaries are present in theca folliculi. As many primary follicle continue to grow, the theca folliculi differentiate into theca interna and theca externa. I think this also I covered in my lecture, but once again I will tell you regarding it. See, once again we will see the outermost granulose cells rest on a basement membrane. See here, these are the granulosa cells which are surrounding this oocyte. So in between granulosa cells and oocyte there is a another layer that is called as the zona pellucida, and you know that granulosa cells are attached to the zona pellucida, right? And then it is called as, that structure is called as corona radiata. Now these outermost granulosa cells, they rest on a basement membrane and they are highly supplied with blood capillaries, and then they are called as what you can say, then they are called as theca folliculi. And then this theca folliculi, as they are going to mature, as they are going to grow, as that oocyte is going to grow, that time they are going to differentiate into theca interna and theca externa. The theca interna part, it is highly vascularized means what, it is highly supplied with blood vessels. It is highly supplied with blood vessels, and the internal secretory cells are present in it, and the theca externa, the outer layer of connective tissue. देखिए अंदर का एक लेयर रहेगा और बाहर का एक लेयर रहेगा. Now the next will be the granulosa cells begins to secrete follicular fluid. ये जो ग्रैन्युलोसा सेल्स है, ये जो जैसे कि थीका इंटरना में हमने देखा है कि सम सिक्रेटरी सेल्स आर प्रेजेंट, दे बिगिन टू सिक्रेट सम फॉलिकुलर फ्लूइड, एंड दैट फ्लूइड इट गेट फिल्ड इनटू द कैविटी कॉल्ड एज एंट्रम कैविटी. ये जो कैविटी है, ये अगर आप यहाँ पे देखोगे तो ये अंदर एक कैविटी है. In that cavity it is called as antral cavity, and that fluid gets accumulated into the antral cavity. Now the next, it is called as a secondary follicle. The presence of antral cavity granulosa cells, that is nothing but a theca interna, theca externa, zona pellucida region, and the next is a oocyte, the fully grown oocyte, and this structure it is called as a secondary oocyte or secondary follicle. Now the next will be, under the influence of follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone, that togetherly called as gonadotropin hormones, meiosis 1 resumes in the secondary follicle. यहाँ पे क्या होगा, अभी ये जो स्ट्रक्चर जब बनेगा तो यहाँ पे meiosis 1 स्टार्ट होगा. देखिए meiosis, ये जो टर्मिनोलॉजी ये हमने 11th स्टैंडर्ड में सीखी है अच्छे से. इन meiosis 1 वी लर्न दैट क्या होता है meiosis 1 में एंड meiosis 2 में डिफरेंस क्या होता है meiosis 1 एंड meiosis 2 में. तो यहाँ पे मेजर जो डिफरेंस है दैट इज़ नथिंग बट इन meiosis 1 इट इज़ नथिंग बट इट इज़ अ रिडक्शन डिविजन, मीन्स फ्रॉम 2n number of cell n number of from 2n n is formed, that is nothing but it is a reduction division, right? So meiosis 1 is going to resume in the secondary follicle. Only one mature and ovulation टेक्स प्लेस, राइट, एक ही उसमें से मैच्योर होगा एंड आफ्टर दैट द ओव्यूलेशन इज गोइंग टू टेक प्लेस, राइट. नाउ द नेक्स्ट विल बी, सी द डिप्लॉयड प्राइमरी oocyte completes meiosis 1 and forms secondary oocyte. See the diploid primary oocyte, ये जो प्राइमरी oocyte है, सी देखिए primary oocyte, the diploid primary oocyte, see under the influence of gonadotropin meiosis 1 resumes in the secondary follicle, only one matures and ovulation takes place. This stage here, if you see this stage, this particular stage is called as ovulation, right. Now ovulation means what? Release of ovum. Now the diploid primary oocyte completes meiosis 1 and forms secondary oocyte. Secondary oocyte proceeds with meiosis 2 and it is arrested at metaphase. See ये जो आप देखोगे यहाँ पे, that is nothing but a secondary oocyte, राइट. मियोसिस कंप्लीट होने के बाद में मियोसिस 2, इस सेकेंडरी oocyte में मियोसिस 2 इट इज़ अरेस्टेड एट मेटाफेज. मेटाफेज 2, मेटाफेज 2 में ये जो है ये अरेस्टेड रहता है जब ये रिलीज़ होता है तब, एंड इट इज़ कॉल्ड एज अ मैच्योर फॉलिकल और इट इज़ कॉल्ड एज अ मैच्योर ग्राफियन फॉलिकल. यहाँ पे अगर आप देखोगे तो दिस इज़ नथिंग बट ए मैच्योर ग्राफियन फॉलिकल. दिस इज़ नथिंग बट ए मैच्योर graphian follicle. Now the next will be, see the follicle with secondary oocyte is arrested at metaphase 2 is called as mature follicle. It takes 90 days or longer for primary follicle to develop into a secondary follicle. Very important, primary follicle से secondary follicle बनने में कम से कम 90 days का span लगता है. Very important. One ovum from mature follicle is released from one ovary in every menstrual cycle. देखिए वन ओवम फ्रॉम मैच्योर फॉलिकल, ये जो मैच्योर फॉलिकल है इसमें से एक ही ओवम जो है ये रिलीज किया जाएगा, राइट, फ्रॉम ओवरी इन एवरी मेंस्ट्रुअल साइकिल. हर एक मेंस्ट्रुअल साइकिल में सिर्फ एक ही जो ओवम है ये रिलीज किया जाता है जिसे हम एग बोलते हैं. And it may also show presence of mass of yellow cell called as corpus luteum formed in the antrum or follicular cavity of an empty ग्राफियन फॉलिकल. अगर आप यहाँ पे देखोगे जब ये फॉलिकल रिलीज किया जाता है देन हियर वन कैविटी इज प्रेजेंट एंड दैट कैविटी इज कॉल्ड एज कॉर्पस luteum. That cavity is called as corpus luteum, right. And next the graphian follicle after the release of its ovum, if the ovum is fertilized, corpus luteum secretes progesterone and it is going to maintain pregnancy. Very important, underline this sentence, really very important sentence. क्या है, जब इफ़ द ओवम इज़ फर्टिलाइज्ड, अगर ये ओवम जो है रिलीज़ किया हुआ ओवम दैट इज़ नथिंग बट ए सेकेंडरी oocyte, इफ़ इट गेट फर्टिलाइज्ड दैट टाइम ये जो कॉर्पस ल्यूटियम बना है यहाँ पे आपने अगर देखा होगा दिस कॉर्पस ल्यूटियम it is going to secrete, it is going to release progesterone hormone, and you know that progesterone hormone is also called as pregnancy hormone because it is going to maintain pregnancy. And the ovarian cortex may also show white body or corpus albicans representing a degenerating corpus luteum in case of if द ओवम इज़ नॉट फर्टिलाइज्ड. अभी दो चीज़ें हैं यहाँ पे, एक तो ओवम फर्टिलाइज होगा या दूसरी चीज़ है ओवम फर्टिलाइज नहीं होता. अगर ओवम फर्टिलाइज हो गया तो ये जो कॉर्पस ल्यूटियम है यहाँ पे अगर आप देखोगे दिस कॉर्पस ल्यूटियम, यहाँ पे मार्क करता हूँ कॉर्पस ल्यूटियम, इट इज़ गोइंग टू रिलीज प्रोजेस्टेरॉन एंड प्रेगनेंसी रहेगी, प्रेगनेंसी मेंटेन की जाएगी. प्रोजेस्टेरॉन हार्मोन इज़ द प्रेगनेंसी हार्मोन. अगर ये मैच्योर जो सेकेंडरी oocyte है ये फर्टिलाइज नहीं होता तो उस केस में क्या होता है, ये जो कॉर्पस ल्यूटियम है ये डिजेनरेट होने लगता है, राइट. एंड देन इट इज़ गोइंग टू फॉर्म कॉर्पस albicans, then it is called as corpus albicans. Corpus albicans means what? It is nothing but a degenerating corpus luteum. So here we will stop now.